Today, my name is Christina, and both me and Divya, we work here at NROUND, and we're going to be sharing our own experience as students here in Korea and what happened, how we graduated, how we found a job, and all of those things. So today we're going to be starting off with me talking about undergraduate degree in Korea and the KGSB Scholarship. I don't know if most of you know what the KGSB Scholarship is, but it's a Korean government scholarship program that I came on here to Korea 6 years ago. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then Divya?
I will be talking about graduate studies in Korea, mainly focusing on MBA and life as a foreigner and tips like which you really need.
All right. Yeah, I think we need some tips and people need some tips as well. I think we can start with our undergraduate presentation. All right. So, as I said, I'm going to be talking about an undergraduate degree in Korea. I came to Korea in 2016, and I did a language course here for 1 year, and then I went on to Yonsei University. I don't know, have you guys heard about Yonsei University? It's kind of famous. No, some people are saying no. Haima is saying yes. Okay, so first, let's talk about what this presentation is going to be about. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. It's not very interesting. I'm not a very interesting person, but let's see how I ended up here in Korea, right? And why I ended up here in Korea. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the KGSB Scholarship and why it's such a good scholarship, and about school life in Korea. And at the end, we're going to have Q&A after Divya's presentation, actually. So, about me, the boring part. Let's skip over this very fast. Right, my name is Christina, and I was born and raised in Bulgaria. Bulgaria is a small country in Europe. It's right next to Greece. So I used to live and I used to be raised in Bulgaria. And then I actually was very interested in languages when I was a kid. So I ended up doing a Korean studies bachelor's degree back in Bulgaria. And that's how I ended up learning Korean and learning more about Korea. So I kind of was studying Korean studies, and then I decided that I don't want to do that anymore. So I decided to apply for the KGSB Scholarship and drop out of college back home and come here to Korea. So that's what happened. You can see I went to school until year 3, and then I dropped out and I decided that I'm gonna start over back here in Korea. So I changed my major to business administration and I applied for the KGSB Scholarship. So this is about me. You can ask me more about me if you want later on. And how did I end up? What is the KGSB Scholarship, first of all? Well, the KGSB Scholarship is a program funded by the Korean government. There's an undergraduate version of it and a graduate version. So the undergraduate version of the scholarship is 5 years. So you get 1 year of language course, and you also get 4 years of a degree, and the government funds everything for you. So you get a plane ticket, you get a monthly allowance, you get your tuition fees paid by the government. So you pretty much don't pay anything for the 5 years that you spend in Korea, and 3 years if you're a graduate degree student. Of course, it's very competitive. So yeah, you need to prepare first. So you can see on the slide, there are some tips about the scholarship. So the quotas are different for every country. If you're from a big country like China, usually there's more quotas. When I first came to Korea in 2016, we were 2 people from Bulgaria, but then they changed the quota and now it's only 1 person. So only 1 person from Bulgaria can come every year for an undergraduate degree. And it's becoming more and more competitive because Korea is getting more and more popular. So if you want to learn more about the scholarship, I advise you to go on your Korean embassy's website. For example, if you're from India, on the Korean embassy in India's website, they're going to be posting a lot of information about that. So yeah, I think what else to explain about the scholarship? Well, you're going to see more later on. But yeah, pretty much it's a very nice scholarship. All right. So I have some tips for the application for the KGSB scholarship. If you're interested, start early. So usually the notice about the scholarships opens in September or in August. So from August or September, you have to have your documents, and it all happens through the Korean embassy in your country. So you have to prepare your documents in advance, and you have to like look into what they need. So yeah, like make sure to know what kind of documents you need, because there's a lot of documents. So yeah, pretty much like check early on. Just a second. So PPT 안 보여요. Oh, okay. So another thing is that when you are applying for the scholarship, they're gonna look into your background. Do you speak Korean? Are you interested in Korea? Or just I see a question, but I'm gonna answer later. Happy honey. So they're gonna see if you speak Korean, if you have interest in Korea, and they want to see proof of that. They want to see if you have a certificate for Korean, that's good. If you have any community work with like Korea, that's good. If you have any volunteer activities, that's great. So make sure to involve yourself with any Korean related activities before you apply for the scholarship. That's what I did. I was doing like volunteer work at the embassy back home. I was doing some translation from English to Korean, from Bulgarian to Korean. So they really liked that when I actually applied for the scholarship. And we have to move to this side. Okay, so yeah, again, about the documents, review the documents. So there are so many documents, they need to be legalized, they need to be translated, they need to be apostille. There are so many like requirements for the documents. So make sure to review the documents before you apply. All right, so this is about a KGSB scholarship. I want to keep this short. So you guys can ask me questions later if you're interested in the scholarship itself. Yeah, so about school life in Korea. All right, so what happened to me? I first came to Korea in 2016, and I did a 1-year language course. As I said, it's included in the 5-year program of the scholarship. And actually, you can skip this language course if you're very good at Korean. If you have topic 5 or topic 6, if you're like very advanced in Korean, you can skip the course and you can go straight to university. But don't do that. Don't do that. Even if you're good at Korean, like, I don't know, lie about it. I'm joking, don't lie about it. But go to the language course, because you end up studying with a lot of like people from all over the world, and the other scholars that we studied together that you see in the pictures, they're still my friends to this day. And we've been friends for 5 or 6 years now. So if you can, go to language school, meet people, interact with people. You're gonna be friends for life. I have now, thanks to this experience, friends from all over the world, from Latin America and from Turkey and from India and from wherever you can think of. And I'm so grateful. This is one of the best things that I learned through the scholarship. Is about the world and about so many different friends from everywhere. So don't skip the language course, or if you're not a scholar, go to a language course in Korea. All right, so why Yonsei? Why did I pick Yonsei? So when you apply for the KGSB scholarship, you're applying for 3 universities, and actually your documents, they're the same. So you cannot modify your application for every university. All of the application form and the study plan that you have to fill out, they go to all the 3 universities at the same time, which is kind of tricky, because that means that you cannot apply for different majors. For example, I applied for business administration in 3 different universities, and I had to keep it kind of vague. Like, I couldn't mention like Seoul National University or Yonsei University. Like, I just had to talk more like vaguely, because it goes to all the 3 universities. That was back in the day. I'm not sure about now, but yeah. So why did I pick Yonsei? Well, Yonsei is one of the highest ranked universities in Korea. Like, the highest ranked are Seoul National University, Korea University, and Yonsei University. We call them SKY here in Korea. Seoul National, Korea, and Yonsei, so it's SKY. And I picked Yonsei because Yonsei is actually a very multicultural university. They really try to attract a lot of foreigners. And especially in the business school, we have many, many English classes. So this is very different from major to major. I have some friends in Yonsei who did engineering for them, they didn't have many English classes. So they had to take a lot of calculus and different classes in Korean. For me, for business majors, our school is very big and we have a lot of US educated professors. So a lot of the classes were in English. I still took some classes in Korean in order to graduate, but most of the classes I took from my business major and my major classes were in English. So that's one of the reasons why I picked the Yonsei Business School. Also, Yonsei is a very big school with like a lot of activities and a super lively university culture. There's a little like battle between Yonsei and Korea University. So you guys can go and like, we have games between the two universities and we have like different events that we wear blue and they wear red. And I actually have a picture of that in a little bit. But yeah, we kind of like, we have this friendly battle between the two universities. So the university culture at Yonsei is very interesting. Like people are very active and people are very proud about being part of Yonsei University. So that was another thing that attracted me to the school, that it looked so fun, and it was really fun. But okay, yeah, this is about the Yonsei Business School. And tips for a good school life in Korea. Okay, well, I think this is like, there's many misconceptions about this, but first, I would say speak Korean. Even if you're not good at Korean, try to speak Korean with your classmates, because most of the time your classmates are all gonna be Korean and you guys are gonna be together anywhere and you're probably gonna be the only foreigner. So, you know, if you like, just try, just, you know, don't care about making mistakes. Don't care about being like nervous. People know you're a foreigner. They know we're not Korean, right? So they don't expect us to speak perfect Korean. So first tip, speak Korean, be sassy, be confident about it. You can do it. You're good. You're good with Korean. Get involved is another one. So look for activities. Usually people, like, we're foreigners, right? So we kind of either look different or kind of act different. So people can be sometimes a little bit intimidated by us. Other Korean students, and many of them are friendly and they're gonna come and talk to you, but many of them are kind of shy to talk to foreigners. So look for things, like Google things up, like search for the freshman groups, search for like activities and clubs you can join, be proactive, because yeah, some of my friends that were not proactive during the first year ended up like not making many friends later on because people already kind of had their groups happening. So it was difficult to make more friends. And join school clubs. I already talked about school clubs. If you're not close to your classmates from your major, you can join so many different like school clubs, especially in the big universities. There's hundreds of clubs. They're like sports and art, and there's like whatever you can think of, like instruments, bands, whatever you want. So join these clubs and connect with people with similar interests. They usually welcome foreigners. They have like a big festival where they like show off their clubs and they're like, hi, we're the boxing club, like join us, come and join us. So they usually welcome foreigners and they're excited about having foreigners in their club. So join any club that you're interested in. Another thing is don't assume. Don't assume that people hate you. I did that a lot in the beginning. I assumed that everybody is like afraid of me or that they don't like me, which is usually not true. Like people are, as I said, they're kind of sometimes a little bit intimidated by the fact that you're a foreigner and they are not used to having many foreigners in their class. But people usually don't hate you. And actually when you talk to them, they tell me later like, oh, like I really wanted to talk to you and I really wanted to like get to know you, but I was like so afraid. So people don't hate you. Don't assume that they don't like you. They probably like you and they're curious about you if they hear, oh my God, like there's a foreigner in our class. So don't assume that people hate you. They probably don't. And another thing is very important. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Be open-minded. I know that we all come from our countries and there's different ways to do different things and to socialize and to connect and to, you know, different types of etiquette and manners. But the thing is, these things are not going to be the same in Korea. Like in Korea, it's very different, right? So I would say keep an open mind and understand that there's many ways to do the same thing. There's many ways to socialize and there's many ways to talk, and in different countries and different cultures, and there's no right answer. So I've seen many people like get very frustrated with the fact that people things here are different than in their home country, but there are gonna be different. Like things in Korea are very different. And I would say keep an open mind and try to understand and have compassion for people's differences. All right. And this is what I talked to you about. This is actually the Yonsei Festival that I went to. Sai was there. You cannot see Sai, but it was crazy. So I just wanted to show you like the blue wave that we all are at Yonsei. At Korea University, they're in red. But here, yeah, this was our festival. And here, IU and Psy and different artists came and they had like a huge concert and it was so fun. Like Blackpink came that day. Okay, Blackpink came. So we could see them like they were right there, Jenny and everyone, and we're all like singing the Yonsei songs and it was crazy. It was so fun. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that Yonsei is fun and Korea is fun as well. All right, so this was for me. This is another picture of me and my class, kind of at an event between Korea University, Yonsei University. So if you guys want to add me on LinkedIn, I don't know, some of you guys look very young, but if anybody has LinkedIn, it's a professional social network, you can add me on there and we can talk. And also I included the link for the Study in Korea website where they post all of the information about the KGSB Scholarship. And you can see in the notice section, there's a lot of documents. So yeah, you can check the website out. It's from the government. It's from the Korean government. So you can go on the website and see. And I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna head the mic to Divya and then we can talk in a little bit together and I'm gonna look at your Instagram questions as well. So yeah, I'm gonna head the mic to Divya and think about questions during that time. Think about questions that you're curious about undergraduate, Yonsei, KGSB, whatever you want. Okay, well, let's wait for the PPT to change.
My name is Divya, and in this session, we will be getting to know about graduate studies in Korea. And as clearly mentioned, I am a graduate from Sungkyunkwan University. So I graduated from Sungkyunkwan University, and so let me start with a little bit of introduction. So I was born and raised in India, and while traveling to Korea, I fell in love with the country and what else? I just came here to study my master's. So I had an undergraduate degree in international business and foreign trade. And then eventually I wanted to pursue my master's. So I came to Korea in 2019 to do my MBA at Sungkyunkwan University. So what do you think is common with these people? Do you guys know who they are? Is it a yes? Obviously, yes. So these guys, like these celebrities are from my school. So they are the alumni and current like going students. So who knows Chaunu? Do you guys like Chaunu? Yeah, he's a current student of Sungkyunkwan University and there are many other alumni and current graduates. Okay, so do you guys know this drama? You know? Okay, so this drama is called Sungkyunkwan Scandal. So basically this drama's background is based on my school because if you know the Joseon dynasty, so in this era, Sungkyunkwan school was like considered the elite school because most of the historians have been part of that school. So it's kind of known for its ancient history. I'm kind of like, how do I say? I'm kind of like happy to say that I am a graduate from this wonderful school. Okay, so when it comes to telling about Sungkyunkwan school, like Sungkyunkwan graduate school, I can say that this school is like a mixture of ancient history. At the same time, it is a mixture of modern infrastructure because it has like lots of history. This is one of the oldest schools in Asia and in the world. So I feel that because not many of us know like Korean, all the classes in the university are done in English. Like my MBA course was fully in English. So that's a really, really plus point. And one thing very good about this course is that, if you can see, how many of you ever like had a field trip abroad? Because when I was in my schooling, I never had a field trip abroad. But in Sungkyunkwan graduate school, you get to go to another country as a field trip during your summer vacation. So you go to countries like Singapore, Vietnam, Cambodia. So the school takes you to those countries as a field trip. And the interesting fact is that usually we need to, like, if you want to get good grades, you need to like study hard and all that. But you get like extra credits if you just go on this like field trip. So just go to the country and you get like 5 credits. Isn't that super cool? And so when it comes to masters at Sungkyunkwan University, so there's like general masters and Sungkyunkwan Graduate School of Business. So general masters is like School of Art, School of Design, and general masters like that. Whereas Graduate School of Business, where I was a graduate of, is mostly Global MBA. So I was part of the Global MBA. And when it comes to Global MBA, this course is for a duration of 18 months. So you're all like 3 semesters are done in this 18 months. And why I chose Sungkyunkwan University is because Sungkyunkwan University is the top graduate school in Korea. So it's the #1 school in Korea, and it is one of the most popular schools in Asia. So why not? Don't you think it's kind of cool to be studying in one of the most top schools in Asia? And then I think the future prospects when you go to a good school is really important. So that's good. And then, so when it comes to what's so special about this graduate school, you get to do dual degrees at other universities in different countries as well. Like I've mentioned a few programs over here. Like you get to do your program MBA at Sungkyunkwan University and then go to like do another degree from Indiana School of Law and then other universities like that. So when it comes to admission, which every one of you are kind of curious about. So there are like 2 admission process. One is like general admission and one is, let me go here. Yep, general admission, and one is the GKS scholarship, that is like Global Korean Scholarship. I'll start with the GKS scholarship first. So GKS scholarship is done in like 2 ways. One is through the embassy and one is through the university. I will be telling you more about the university. So this scholarship you can apply through the university. You don't need to go to the embassy or do it. So directly apply to the university, and then the university will take care of all your like admission process. So if you do get into this through the university, then the university would be covering your airfare, your stay, your like food expenses and your living expenses and tuition fees. So isn't that cool? But sadly, I was not part of it because I could not apply for this scholarship at the time. And so what else? What other scholarships? Because not everyone gets into the scholarship, right? It's kind of hard. So because the school kind of looks up at your academics, your like example, it's MBA. So MBA means people think that you have like work experience. So as I right after my undergraduation, I joined my MBA program like without any work experience. So it was kind of hard to get into a scholarship in the beginning with the GKS because I didn't have any employment history. So these other 3 scholarships were kind of useful. So these scholarships, if to generalize it, it kind of depends on your academics. If you're really good at academics, or if you have any other certificates, that if you have a language course, or something like that, then it would be really, really helpful. So in my case, I had a research assistant scholarship, even though it was not kind of mentioned over here. So basically, research assistant scholarship is like I worked under a professor for like whole of 2 years. So I get a scholarship for that. So I think don't be like upset that you don't get into these scholarships because there are other scholarships as well. And while you're studying, if you really maintain a good grade, you can eventually get another scholarship which depends on your performance. Okay, so coming to my university, I would say that since I already mentioned that my university is kind of like has that ancient history and traditions. And one interesting fact, I don't know if you're like, I think you guys know Samsung, right? The big company, Samsung, the Korean company, right? So Sungkyunkwan University is backed by Samsung. So it's like, I think it's a really good opportunity because Samsung is famous for its technology, and I think it's one of the most wonderful opportunity because when you're like being part of the course, you get to be in the live projects. So that's a really cool option. And so I'm gonna start with my life at my university and my friends. So this is like, we've been to few like school trips and with my friends and all. So I think life in Korea, I would say that once I started my MBA program was kind of like, it was going with the flow. It was super cool And if you want to come to Korea as a student, I would say that's one of the best options because you get to meet new people, people from different countries, and then you get to interact, and the culture is so good. So these are just me and my friends from school hanging out, having parties. I mean, safe kind of parties, not don't think it in a different way. Safe kind of parties, meeting up, Christmas vacation parties, and culture. I'm pretty sure, because I come from India, so India is a very like culturally rich country. I'm sure other countries are too, but I kind of felt the same way when I came to Korea because Korea was also like rich in culture. They had their own traditional dress, they had their traditional food. So, yep, as you can see over here. So, okay, one part which is very important, which I guess everyone wants to know is where do I live? Does the school provide any accommodation, right? Where do you live? Because the housing prices in Korea are kind of expensive. I chose the dormitory because dormitory was around probably $400. So I can say it's kind of safe. And in masters, one of the like best thing is that you don't have any curfew. So you can come and go whenever you want. So isn't that cool? And we have many culturally advocative events at Yonsei University. So you get to wear these like the traditional gowns, and then you get to be part of the events. What does this MBA do for you? So I would like to let you know that being part of MBA, it's one of the best ways to have a good networking. So as you can see over here, once you're part of MBA, mainly SKK, like Sungkyunkwan's MBA program, you get to you get to meet people from different MBAs. So we call this as the KMS society, like the MBA society. So you get to meet different people, Koreans, or Chinese or other nationalities as well, Latin America, and then you get to know their point of views when it comes to see things, how things are happening. And when it comes to tips, what I would like to suggest to you is that I'm pretty sure everyone is wondering that, oh, I don't know Korean, I cannot speak Korean, how do I survive? But to be honest, I would say that if you're planning to stay in Korea for a short period of time, no future, just short period of time, I would say, okay, it's okay if you don't speak Korean, it's all right, because there are many people who can speak English as well. But if you want to like get involved in the country, get to know the culture, I would recommend, as Christine also said, learning Korean language is pretty important, very much important, that because in everyday life you use Korean, and I think that's a very good option to start first with the Korean language and then be involved in all the activities. So during my MBA program, I was volunteering with one of the NGO kind of things in Korea. So be active, be volunteer, meet new people, learn different cultures, because we are always enclosed in our own space. We don't know what's happening in different cultures. So it's kind of important to know what's happening around. So be proactive. And future prospects, I would say that in Korea, there are like every field has different opportunities, be it business, be it engineering, because every field has different opportunities. But if you want to get into the field like super involved, I would say the language plays a very important role. So make sure you are down with your basics, you know everything. And as one of the participants asked me about the admission process, you don't need to take a test, but the process starts with you apply for the course, and then the two main things are the essays and then the interview. So these are the two very main important things. So I feel I kind of nailed my essay, to be honest. I felt that because during my interview, one of the interviewers who was doing my interview told me that he really liked my essay. So please make sure that your study plan and essays are really on to the point and they attract the interviewer. And when it comes to IELTS and English language tests, since most of my education was done in English, like all my education was done in English. So to be honest, I really didn't need any English language score to be given, but I did take IELTS exam and I got around 8.5. So I feel that having a good IELTS or TOEFL score is really important too. So if that answers your question, great.
The first question is, do you have, okay, where did it go? What is the age limit for the KGSB scholarship? So usually for an undergraduate, you have to be at most, I think it was 25. So if you're above 25, you cannot apply for undergraduate. For the graduate version of the KGSB scholarship, by the way, what Divya described as the GKS scholarship is the same thing. GKS means Global Korea Scholarship. KGSB means Korea Government Scholarship Program, and they're both the same thing. So yeah, long story short, there is an age limit. You can check it on the Study in Korea website. It's different for undergrad and graduate, but as far as I remember, for undergraduate, you have to be, there's a date of birth that it states in the notice, and if you're born before that date, you cannot apply. So I think it was around 25 years old. You have to be around 25. Past 25, you cannot apply for undergraduate. You have to apply for graduate. All right, Divya, anything?
So one of my Indian friends, to be honest, she asked me like, is English very important? Because she speaks only Hindi. To be honest, I believe that if you cannot speak English, it will be kind of hard to communicate because you're in Korea. If you don't speak Korean, the other alternative is English. So I'm kind of like, sorry if you cannot speak both the languages, that's going to be pretty hard for you.
I did have some friends who didn't speak any Korean and like kind of beginner English when we first came, but they had to work really, really hard to improve their English. I mean, their English now, it's amazing, but in the beginning it was very difficult because even in language school, when you learn Korean, most of the teachers like teach you through English. So if you don't speak, obviously they cannot teach you through Hindi, right? So if you don't speak English, you cannot even like properly learn Korean. You have to take extra time to kind of learn by yourself. So work on the English and work on the Korean. But if the Korean is too hard, work on the English. All right, another question. Why is Yonsei University more costly than SNU? Because Yonsei University is a private university, yeah. So National University is a public university, so it's cheaper. But as a private school, Yonsei is very much funded by private students, so it's more expensive.
How do we write more effective study plans? Oh, well, this is kind of hard because it depends. It's like personalized. So you need to lay out what you want or what you want to be in your future. And you need to include all those plans. So it's pretty personalized. I feel that if you work on it, if you put down all your real thoughts on it, I think that's going to be a good help.
Okay, somebody is asking, if I do some Korean courses, I will have more chance to get the scholarship. I would say yeah, because when you go to the embassy, for me, there was an interview. For some other friends from other countries, there was not an interview. It seems to be different from country to country, but they do check all of that. And it does say in the notice that if you have a level of Korean or a level of English, that's beneficial for you and you're gonna be a better candidate. So if you can take topic, and even if it's not like 5 or 6, like the highest levels, even if you can take like topic 1, 2, like just some low level, that's going to help your application. Of course, that doesn't mean you're going to get it, but it's for sure going to raise your chances. It's going to show that you're so interested in Korea and you're already learning. So of course, it's going to, make your application stronger.
Okay, so if we have to skip language classes, is it a good idea? So because I did not come from a scholarship course. I did not do a Korean language program. I just came to the graduate school. So I didn't find any problem. It might be because I was exposed to the Korean language. I was exposed to the Korean language. So yeah, I would not just focus much on saying that you need to go to the language school only if you know Korean. So if you don't know Korean, the right option is just start with a language school.
For sure. Somebody else is asking, is it very expensive to live in Korea? I think that's a very important question. I guess I have no other choice but to say it depends on what country you come from. If you come from a country with lower prices than Korea, of course, you're probably going to come here and think that it's quite expensive. I would say, what we get for, this is not a secret, but what we get for the KGSB scholarship per month, now it's 900,000 won, which is $900. So the scholarship gives you $900 per month to live. You can get an additional $100 if you have a high level of Korean. So you can get up to $1,000 per month. This sounds like a lot, but I would say living in Seoul, I don't know about living in the countryside, but living in Seoul with $900 per month is challenging. It's challenging because dorms can go, in Yonsei, dorms are very expensive, so they can go up to $400 per month or $500 per month. So you're gonna be left with only $400 per month to like live with for living expenses. So we're grateful that they give us $900 per month, and it's amazing. But it's difficult. It's difficult it's challenging to make it work. It's not a luxury life. So I don't know if this is giving you any perspective, but yeah, they recently raised the living cost. They recently raised the living what? Sorry, guys. They recently raised it from 800 to 900 because it was very insufficient. So they raised the monthly allowance from $800 to $900 from last year after so many years. But yeah, it's enough. It's enough, but it's not a luxury life.
Okay, so next question is, I heard that studying in Korea is pretty stressful. Well, from my own experience, I would say Korea is a very competitive country when it comes to education. So previously, I was a very like chilled out, laid back person. So when I first came to Korea and saw my peers, my classmates, everyone was like really, really studying hard. But I think that it's because they want to have a bright future. So it's kind of like they're working hard towards it. So I don't think it's considered stressful, but it's just that they're working hard. So I feel that that's not really matters.
Okay, there's a good question. Someone is asking a smart question. Someone is asking about the KGSB Scholarship and how you should write your essay about what your plans after finishing the scholarship. There's no right answer to this, but obviously I didn't know what I was going to do after finishing the scholarship because you don't know what you're going to do in 5 years, right? And nobody does. So I would say because the point of the scholarship is to create a bridge between Korea and other countries, maybe include something about acting as a connecting point between the two countries and things like that. Just make it genuine and show your passion about living in Korea and show your passion about working in the field related to your Korea or your country. So just showcase your passion. Obviously, nobody knows I don't know what I'm going to do in 5 years. And I didn't know back then. So, just show your passion about working in the field of Korea.
Okay. But how can I search a right master for me? So in my case, I wanted to pursue my MBA. So I wanted to major in business administration. So obviously in Korea, Sungkyunkwan was the top school. So I chose it. So if you have your own major, which you want to do masters in, so I feel a right major, you can just search for it. And their top schools, like Yonsei School is also known for medicine. So you can search according to your major, if that was helpful.
Right. That's a good question. Another one. If you're part of a scholarship, will the visa allow you to have a part-time job in Korea as well? If you're under the KGSB scholarship like I was, you're not allowed to do a part-time job during the semester. You're only allowed because the point of the program is for you to come to Korea and focus on studying as a scholar, as a government scholar. So because it's kind of complicated, but in order to get a permission to work as a part-timer here in Korea, your school needs to allow you because you're a student. So the school needs to issue a document that allows you to go and apply for a permit. So if you're a KGSB scholar like me, they're not going to issue it because we're not allowed to work during the semester. We're only allowed to work during vacations. So there's two main vacations in Korea, the summer one and the winter one. And they're 2 months each. So you can work during that time. You can have a part-time job. But during the semester, you cannot work as a scholar. If you're not a scholar, you can work. There are certain requirements and it's kind of complicated, but you can work in certain areas. Like you cannot work in bars or places like that, but you can work in a cafe if you're not a scholar. For KGSB scholars, no.
Okay. Is there another alternative if you're not selected for the scholarships? So I'll be talking about masters, right? So if you don't get into the scholarships, which I mentioned above, like in the PPT, then there are many other scholarships, to be honest. If you are good at academics, then you have academic scholarship. Or if you want to, you can be a teaching assistant to your professors and get scholarship amount for that. So there are different scholarships available. And it depends mostly according to the universities which you're in. So you need to check out about more particular universities.
Okay, I'm gonna do 2 questions really quickly because they're short. Do we need topic to apply for undergraduate? No, you don't need topic, but it's good if you have topic. It's good if you can showcase your interest in Korean language and culture by presenting a certificate. So no, it's not necessary. I would highly advise you, if it's possible, for you to obtain a topic certificate, but it's not compulsory. And there was a question about quotas for grades for scholarships. I don't know about other scholarships. For the KGSB scholarship, I don't think there is a definite grade that you have to have. But obviously, the higher your grades are, the more beneficial it is, and the stronger application you have from high school. If we're talking about undergraduate, so if your grades from high school are high, obviously you have higher chances of getting the scholarship because it's based on academic merit. So if the more things you have and the more activities and the better grades, the stronger application. But as far as I remember, there was no, or maybe there was it's probably different for every country. If there's minimum grade from high school, from your high school diploma, it's probably different for every country because the grading systems are different. But yeah, better grades, better chances.
Okay. So when to start, like when do I need to apply for the graduate program? So in Sungkyunkwan University, we have 4 rounds. So each round takes, it's a duration for 2 months. So even the applications are open right now. So if you want to apply, you can apply immediately. So, but the course starts in August. So during the fall semester. So you need to be applying before that.
Somebody's asking me, do you have any Filipino friends that are also KGSB scholars? Yes, I do have some Filipino friends that are KGSB scholars. I have KGSB scholar friends from everywhere. That's why this program is so amazing, because you can meet anyone. What's the minimum age to apply? I think, don't quote me on this because it might be wrong. I think for undergraduate, it's 16. I'm not 100% sure. And these regulations change every year. So please go on the Study in Korea website and check. But I think for undergrad, it's 16.
Okay. About medical course, to be honest, I would not say 100% it's true, but most of the medical courses in Korea are done in Korean, so it's kind of hard to find any English language courses. At least in Sungkyunkwan University, all the classes regarding medical courses are in Korean, so that would not be an ideal option for you to choose medicine as your major.
How did you convince your parents to study in Korea? That's a very difficult question, and I guess it's very different for every family. I think show your parents why you want it and how much you want it, and try to use logic and explain why you want to study in Korea, with logic. Don't cry, don't be sad, just talk to them as an adult and try to explain what the benefits are of studying in Korea and studying abroad in general. So I think any parent would want the best for their child. So try to explain why this is a good idea, I think. But every family is different, so there's no unique answer for this. Does it include talents like dancing and singing? Yeah, I have some KGSB friends that did vocal and another friend that did acting. One of them went back to her country, but she was kind of on TV here in Korea as well as a singer. So she majored in opera singing. Another friend majored in acting. They both graduated. One of them is still here. But you can apply for those majors. I think they would probably require a portfolio of you showcasing your voice and showcasing your talent, but it is possible. I have some foreigner friends here that are doing these majors.
Okay, so does it matter in which college you are to apply to Korean university? I would say it doesn't really matter if you're really good at your academics or if you really have the credentials like language or other certificates, then I think you can straight away apply to the Korean university. So it doesn't matter.
Wow. People say it's not easy to get a job in Korea. They're right. It's not easy to get a job in Korea because it's complicated, but it's difficult for companies in Korea to hire foreigners. There's many different regulations when it comes to hiring foreigners. So you need to really show that you're needed in the company. So it's not easy. Obviously, it's important to speak Korean because in most Korean companies, you would communicate with your coworkers in Korean. People usually don't speak English at work, I guess, as in our own countries, when people work. we speak in our own language, right? It's the same here. So you have to be proficient at Korean, I would say most of the time, unless it's something related to teaching languages or teaching English. And yeah, it is difficult. It is difficult. It is not impossible. It is not impossible. And it depends very much on your major. It's easier for computer science majors, engineering majors, science majors, like anywhere else in the world. It's easier to find a job because there's high demand for such professionals, IT professionals, AI professionals, anything related to tech. It's a little bit easier to find a job. And I think that's universal everywhere in the world right now. So yeah, difficult, not impossible.
So once you apply for GK scholarship, it's like you automatically are eligible for other scholarships as well. Like if you're good at academics, you get an academic scholarship. So it doesn't really matter that it says that you're restricted to one scholarship. You can get other scholarships as well.
Right. Did you guys have to write your application documents in Korean? No, I wrote all of my KGSB scholarship documents in English. How do you make extra income? You don't. No, you don't make extra income during the semester. You make extra income during the vacation, and then you save it up for the semester. But if you're a KGSB or a GKS, whatever that you want to call it, scholar, you cannot make extra income during the semester.
I would like to add, when people keep asking about part-time jobs and working sideways, it's kind of hard because legally it's kind of pretty hard to work as a student because you're on D2 or like specific visa. So on D2 visa, unless the university really gives you permission that she can work, only then you get the like permit to work. So 95% you're not allowed to work.
Right. Okay. I'm looking at more questions. Will they also give an allowance? If you're a KGSB scholar, yes, you get a monthly allowance. I'm not sure. Most other scholarships, they don't usually give you a monthly allowance. They would probably help you with your tuition fees. But the KGSB scholarship gives you a monthly allowance. I already mentioned right now it's $900 per month for 5 years.
Okay. Can you tell the appropriate expenses for studying and living? So for studying and living, if you're not a scholar, like if you're not on scholarship, I would say living expenses take around $400 to $450 a month if you're living in a dormitory. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. But it usually depends on your like living, like just lifestyle. So if you're like spending according to your budget, then I think it's pretty much okay. It covers up.
Okay, somebody is asking, if you get the scholarship, do you have to live on campus? When you're in language school, the first year, they made us live in the dorms of the language school. I actually went to language school in Busan. Like, I didn't go to language school in Seoul. You cannot choose your language school if you're a KGSB scholar. They're gonna hand out your language school and you just have to go there. You have no choice about the language school. So I was down in Busan by the sea. It was actually amazing. But during the first year, we had to live on campus at the language school dorms. So after I came to Seoul to go to Yonsei in 2017, I also lived in the dorms, but you don't have to. In Yonsei, actually, during the first year, you're encouraged to live in the dorms because everybody, including the Korean students, live in the dorms. It's that kind of like Hogwarts, like Harry Potter. So we all live together. So for Yonsei, the first year, you're encouraged to live in the dorms. For most universities, you're not. You can live outside of the university. For some universities, though, it's more expensive to live outside, depending on, I know in Seonggyunkwan, there's some cheap dorms that are better, like equipped. In Yonsei, the dorms are quite expensive. So yeah, you can live off campus, long story short, you can. Not during the language course.
But in Seonggyunkwan University, when it comes to like choosing your dormitory, you don't get to choose it. So they assign you the dormitory. So in my case, since I was doing masters, I was like assigned another dormitory where it was only for like law school students, and it was pretty expensive. So I would say it depends on the school. So if they give you a good dormitory, then everything's gonna work out.
Is it safe to be alone as a woman in Korea? That's a good question, right, asking to us two women. I would say Korea is a very safe country. I think even if when I walk outside at night, I don't feel threatened. I often go for night walks around my neighborhood and to ride a bike, and it's very safe. I would say most of the time.
I would totally agree with it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the safest places in the world. So we never worry. I don't worry about.
Yeah, we never actually worried going out late at night or like losing stuff. So I feel it.
Oh yeah, true. If you just leave your things in a cafe, like nobody ever
Nobody's gonna
takes
take
it. Like, that's the thing. You can never lose anything in
You put
Korea.
your wallet on the table and just go away. It's gonna be there. It's definitely gonna be there.
Yeah, it's always
That's
there.
fine.
Phones, cards. All right. Does the KGSB cover the total 5-year tuition fee? Yes, it covers the 1-year language school tuition fee and the 4-year major university tuition fee. So yes, it covers everything. It goes transferred directly from the government to the school. You don't see the money. They just get paid to the university directly by the government. So yes, they pay your tuition fees. What if you're not able to finish school? Are you going to pay for what the government paid? That's complicated. Most of the time, no. You can just go back to your country. If you quit the scholarship in the first year or first few months, I think you have to repay some amount of money. You need to check on the Study in Korea website. Most of the time, no, but don't drop out. It's an amazing opportunity. Don't miss it. How do they give it to you? They give it, somebody's asking for the KGSB allowance, how do they give it to you? In cash? No, they don't give it to you in cash. They just transfer it to your bank account. So you have your card and every month it's like a salary that comes to your bank account.
Oh, well, I would start in my case. I did not go to a proper language school in Korea, but I did diploma in Korean language back at home. But I would not say it was hard because I was interested in the language. So if you're really interested in the language and if you are like forced, like I'm going to study the Korean language, then I don't think it's going to be hard.
I agree. I would say starting to learn Korean is easy. I would say learning how to write and read is easy. Learning basic words and vocabulary, it's easy. I think Korean is one of the languages that the more you learn, the more complicated it gets. Because in Korean, there is a big difference between spoken everyday language and academic language. So what you see in your books in university is going to be very different from how you chat with your friends, like over coffee. So there's different words and vocab that's used in the academic literature. So long story short, the better you become a Korean, the more confusing and difficult it gets. But the start is easy. The start to just, introduce yourself or read and write, I would say that's easy compared to other languages.
There's a question about MBA. So I would just say that if you want all the classes to be in English, then I would recommend going to Sungkyunkwan University. As well as, I'm not sure about Yonsei's MBA program because according to my knowledge, I got to know that not all the MBA schools in Korea offer classes in English. Like the Seoul National University, most of the classes are in Korean, and the Korea University as well, most of the classes are in Korean. So it really matters on what classes you want to take. Is it in English or is it in Korean?
Right. This is a good question. Is it compulsory to get topic 5 in language school? For the KGSB scholarship, no. After 1 year of language school, you have to get topic 3. You have to, or you cannot go to university. So after 1 year of language school, you have to obtain topic 3, or you have to stop being a KGSB scholar. But no, you don't need topic 5. Topic 3 is the middle level. Somebody's asking what topic is. I saw earlier. Topic is the test of Korean language proficiency. It's the Korean language certificate. It goes from 1, the lowest level, to 6, the highest level, and level 3 is right in the middle. Can I study modern languages with a scholarship? Yes, you can study anything with a scholarship aside from degrees that are longer than 4 years. So medicine, dentistry, architecture, you cannot apply for those. They have to be a 4-year major. As far as I know, there's no problem with studying languages. I have some friends who studied French or English as a major, so yes.
So I can see many questions asking about medicine and nursing schools, as we already mentioned, because most of those fields are in Korean. So there are not many schools offering English classes for that because, it's medicine industry, the hospital industry is more restricted to Koreans, right? So I don't think that's a very good option for you to choose medicine school over here.
How many subjects are you taught? You mean in university? It depends on, in Korea, it works different than, for example, in my country. In Korea, every semester you apply for a number of classes. So there is this thing called course registration where you select your classes and you apply for them. I would say on average, you can take anywhere from 3 to 6 classes a semester, depending on how many credits you want to take. You have a number of credits that you need to fulfill to graduate. For example, for me, I needed to do 126 credits in 4 years. So you need to be mindful of that and kind of calculate, like this semester I'm going to take 18, next semester I'm going to take 15. One class is usually 3 credits. So I would say between 4 and 6 classes per semester for an undergraduate degree is the average. Between, maybe 5 classes is like the average. Yeah.
Okay, so there are people asking tips to learn Korean. So when it comes to tips, I feel that you need to keep learning Korean every day. Keep conversing in Korean. So that's the only way you kind of like maintain the level. Do you have any tips to give them?
Just speak, just talk, find Korean friends in your country or online friends and practice. Talk, don't be shy. You're gonna make mistakes. Don't care about the mistakes. We all make mistakes, and you're gonna make the mistake 5 times, and the 6th time you're not gonna make the mistake. So just keep making mistakes, and that's how you're gonna get better.
And also, if you want to learn Korean language, you can join NROUND's Korean language classes.
True, with Uni.
With Unisame, I guess most of you are in Unisame's class, so that's one of the best ways to learn Korean. So join our class.
Right. Somebody asked, what if I get topic 3 after 6 months of language course? Nothing. But if you get topic 5 after 6 months of language course, you can go to university. Actually, now you have to go to university. So if you, as a KGSB, I'm talking about KGSB Scholarship, so don't get confused. If you are able to get topic 5 only after 1 semester of language school, now you have to go to university. You cannot stay in language school anymore. When I was in language school, you could stay in language school for another semester. You could choose, do you want to go to school, to university, or do you want to stay in language school? Now you cannot choose. If you have topic 5 after 1 semester, you have to move on to your major. Topic 3 is the minimum requirement for everyone. So after 1 year of language school, you have to have topic 3. Topic 5, you can move to school earlier.
Do I need to have an international high school diploma?
No. You need to have your high school diploma translated and legalized by your Ministry of Education. But no, I went to a regular high school in my hometown, and you need to officially translate and apostille it, so it counts. It's verified. But no, you don't need to go to an international high school.
Remember, when you're applying, make sure all your documents are in English.
Yep.
Make sure it's in English, because that's the only way you get to qualify. So that's a good tip.
Yep. Not only in English, it has to be usually by an agency, by a translation agency. It has to be stamped and officially translated, or the embassy is not going to accept your document. Oh, wow, so many questions. Can I apply if I have done a computer engineer diploma? What do you mean? What kind of diploma? Like undergraduate? Can you skip the language course if you're good at Korean? Yes. If you have topic 5 or topic 6, you can choose to skip the language course. I would not advise you to do that, but it's your choice. If you have topic 5, you can skip the language course.
Is the MBA done in English? So I'm not sure about other schools, but according to my knowledge, as I previously mentioned, not all MBA schools offer classes in English, but at Sungkyunkwan, we do offer English classes. Okay, so is MBA in Yonsei or Sungkyunkwan, which has a stricter application? Well, I did not apply for Yonsei, but for what I know, let me tell you that Sungkyunkwan really has a strict process. So unless you really ace your short essays and your study plans and interview, I'm pretty sure it's kind of hard to get in. So make sure you do your best in your interviews and your study plans and essays.
I feel like what's the best course to choose? I want to answer your question, but I can't, because that's very, it's different for every person. I would say for English classes, usually business schools have the most number of English classes, at least in Yonsei, that's the case. If you go to a more science or engineering-based major, there are some English classes, but you usually have to take some classes in Korean, like required classes. So I don't know what the criteria is about a best course. It depends on what you're interested in. But when it comes to English classes, usually business schools have the most English classes. Getting into medicine is, I don't want to say impossible for a foreigner, but it's near impossible. I've heard, it's just rumors that I've heard, it's not confirmed, but most medical schools don't offer English classes. And it's very, certification for medical doctors is very specific to the country. So that must be very hard. If you're already a doctor and you want to specialize in some sort of, medical specialty, there's probably some research programs for that. But if you're talking about a med school undergrad or graduate program, that's probably going to be very difficult.
So there's one last question. Is it better to go right after undergraduation for master's? Well, I did, because right after my undergraduation, I went to master's, but I would not suggest you doing that. I would say that after you gain some experience, work experience, going for master's is a better option, because not all MBA schools take in for master's students who don't have any work experience. I would say that I was one of the lucky person because I had good academics and other certificates to, balance it out. So join if you have any work experience, MBA.
Yeah, I think that's very good advice. Okay, guys, I think there are so many questions coming up. Are you allowed to visit your families? Yes. You're allowed. Of course, Definitely. It's not a prison. You're allowed to go see your family.
You can go anywhere.
Yeah. You can travel around. I mean, not during COVID, but you can visit your family. For KGSB, you cannot, there's some requirements like specific to KGSB students. So you cannot leave the country for more than 30 days at a time. So 30 days is the maximum. If you stay over 30 days, you start getting money deducted from your monthly allowance because you're out of the country. But you can visit your family. I went like 3 times to visit my family, and yes, nobody's gonna stop you at the airport. You have your ID card and you come to Korea and you leave Korea, and yeah, no problem. You can visit your family.
One last question about racism, I guess.
Oh, that's a difficult question. Yeah. I'm not sure who should answer this.
Let's leave those kind of topics to another day.
Yeah,
maybe.
to another day. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap up here. If you have any questions that you couldn't ask us today, you can go to our Instagram story and ask us there in the sticker. And we will maybe answer some of them on our story. So, yeah, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Somya, hard for you too. We love you too. And we love you too, guys. I'm personally very moved that so many of you joined us today, and I'm very grateful for all of you being here. So I hope we can see you in Korea one day or somewhere else in the world. And yeah, we thank you so much. Oh, thank you guys. You're so cute. Hearts for everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And as a fellow Indian, it's kind of pretty amazing to see all my Indians over there. So
that must be amazing.
Yeah, I get to see Indians finally.
Yeah, right. Okay, guys. See you in our other classes, and we love you so much. Thank you for your time too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.